Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, join me, Rob McConnell, as together we'll investigate the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology here on the X-Zone Radio TV show on XZBN and the X-Zone TV channel on Simul TV. Since 1990, the X-Zone Radio TV show has been the place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. Together, we'll investigate UFOs, aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, psychic phenomenon, lake monsters, conspiracy theories, government cover-ups, the truth embargo, alien abductions, ESP, haunted locations from around the world, and so much more. With over 28 years of broadcasting and more than 4,500 individual guests, the X-Zone is truly a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality, as evidenced by the credibility, integrity, and professionalism of the guests that we bring to our international audience. If you have seen a UFO, had a close encounter, seen a ghost, Bigfoot, lake monster, or a story that you would like to share or have investigated, contact me, Rob McConnell, by sending me your email to xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, or you can call toll-free 1-800-610-7035, extension 143, and on Skype, X-Zone Radio TV. For more information on the X-Zone Radio TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, visit www.xzoneradiotv.com or www.xzonetvchannel.com or simultv.com and xzbn.net. Until next we meet here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, always remember, X-Zone Nation, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart in the light. Welcome to Mission Evolution Radio Show with Gwilda Wiyaka, bringing together today's leading experts to uncover ever-deepening spiritual truths and the latest scientific developments in support of the evolution of humankind. For more information on Mission Evolution Radio with Gwilda Wiyaka, visit www.missionevolution.org. And now, here's the host of Mission Evolution, Miss Gwilda Wiyaka.
Hello, dear visionaries. Thank you for joining me, Gwilda Wiyaka, on another exciting adventure into future possibilities. This is Mission Evolution, where we share innovative thoughts and information with today's leading esoteric and scientific experts, supporting the co-creation of a better tomorrow. You, my treasured audience, are a very important part of this discussion. Email info@missionevolution.org with any comments or questions. We'll address them on the very next show. So take notes, sit back, and enjoy. This hour we'll consider language of the heart, true communication. How strange. Often, the more articulate we become, the less we understand and are understood by those that we love. Could it be because words are the language of the mind and therefore not well designed to communicate matters of the heart? A great demonstration of the limitation of the spoken word is the game telephone. In this game, a group of people line up and pass a whispered message to the person next to them. By the time the last person in line receives and speaks the message, it's nothing like the original statement. While in the game, the distortion of the message is seen as comical, it can prove disastrous in interpersonal relationships. Everyone receives and interprets language through their filters of their past experience, issues, and fears. How can we bridge the gap between the spoken language and emotional connection? How can we once again connect heart to heart? Do we indeed say it best when we say nothing at all? With us this hour to explore a more heart-connected approach to therapy is Philip DeLuca, a licensed clinical social worker. Phil has developed a new approach to communication and conflict resolution. His premise: the express yourself and talk it through current communication approaches destroy both love and health. Phil offers an alternative approach that works where he sees current approaches failing. He spent over 40 years and tested his approach on over 40,000 problem situations. His website, letstalkmorelove.com. Phil, on behalf of our listeners and myself, thanks for joining us on Mission Evolution.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm honored.
I think we'll have a good time with this one. As a social worker, how did you become interested in conflict resolution?
Well, when I was a teenager, I saw my friends getting into arguments and breaking up, and I couldn't buy a date. So I was like, hey, you got a good thing here. What are you screwing it up for? So I made a commitment to see if I can figure out why it is that people argue and how to keep it from happening. And I will say 45 years later, or actually 50 years later, I've accomplished that in ways that I never would have imagined. And it gives me incredible satisfaction to bring that to other people.
Do you see most conflict as a result of communication problems?
Yeah, most definitely. You'll have issues like money, the kids, in-laws. However, what happens is people have this wall they bounce off of. They have this pattern. They keep bouncing off of this wall, and they never go through it to say, I understand. I don't agree, but I understand it. So then you take this basic foundational negative pattern and you apply it to issues, money, children, and they bounce off the same wall. So the good news, that's the bad news. The good news is if you can get that basic pattern resolved, then you don't have to reinvent the wheel for all the issues because it's the same pattern that's just been short-circuited.
Now, does this pattern come from our history versus just between the two people at hand?
Yeah, that it does on that regard. Yes, that's a good part of it. However, 60 years ago, it was the Woodstock era, let it all hang out, sex, drugs, and rock and roll kind of thing. And they developed this new communication model. You probably heard of it. Talk it through. Always talk to your children. Never express yourself. Repressed anger kills. Get it out there. No secrets. And the worst of all, or the most destructive, never go to bed mad at each other or you are running from the problem. And that's been absorbed into the culture now. It never had any scientific basis. People just do it, and it's a mess. The latest mind-body science is saying, hey, wait a minute, we now know that's not the way the mind and the body is wired, and if you do that, not only will it not work, but it will increase conflict and kill your love, kill your personal peace, and even destroy your health.
So why does that trying to talk it through seem to be so inflammatory?
Well, so let's take a really quick science lesson. We've got two parts of the brain we want to focus on. Front brain, put your hand on the front of your head, up on top. That's our cerebral cortex. Higher learning, music, love, spirituality, abstract thought, executive decision making. That separates us from the lower life forms. And then behind our ears, put your hand behind your ear, we have our amygdala, our survival brain, which we share with all life forms like the crocodiles. So when we get upset, the hypothalamus is a switching unit in between those two brains. It starts activating our survival brain, dark, bleak, doom, gloom, paranoid, conflict seeking. And as a result, if you've ever been upset and heard yourself having this internal dialogue, now stay calm, this is going to have real bad consequences. No, I don't want to stay calm. That's the two parts of the brain actually talking to each other, and you're hearing the dialogue.
Oh, so the argument starts within instead of without.
That's right. And once it goes to the place of what's called the survival brain amygdala hijack, I call it our crocodile brain hijack, things change radically. It rewires us internally, our perception, our interaction, and even our brain through the science of neuroplasticity. We now know our brain adapts in a very negative way. And through epigenetics, the science of how we express our genes, we then wire our body for disease. It increases inflammation in our body. For instance, we now know episodic anger outbursts for 2 hours afterwards increase heart attack and stroke risk 500%. Well, I don't know about you, but I'd like to know that little fact. Express your anger and call the Undertaker. That's important to me. Over time, chronic stress and argument breeds a ton of stress, as you know. Heart attack and stroke risk goes up 2,000%, cancer risk 3,000%, shrinks our front brain cells, so it increases our dementia risk, autoimmune disease. It has its finger in everything. Premature aging, 9 to 17 years. It changes the way we metabolize food, so we get heavier. It affects our sleep, which affects our appetite. Comfort foods, it changes the bacteria in our stomach. The bad bacteria thrive. They send a chemical message to the brain that says, feed me, therefore we crave junk food, which gives us a spike, and then we crash, we have brain fog, we're grouchy, testy, and then we communicate in that grouchy, testy with low sleep, low sugar, and it's not good.
It sounds like a downward spiral. I've observed we often hear what we're afraid we're going to hear rather than what's being said. Yes. How much of the time are we really relating to the person in our present rather than coming from, well, like you say, that part of the brain where you go into fear and damage in the past?
Well, there was a researcher by the name of Stephen Porges. He says when we get upset, now remember, both of these brains are connected through the autonomic nervous system to 90% of our organs, heart, liver, lungs. One jacks it up, the fight or flight, and the other one calms it down. Oh, gosh, I can't believe what I just said and did. So what happens is Stephen Porges says his research shows when we get upset, everything from the torso on up turns aggressive, looks, tone, topics, fists being clenched, and, quote, we lose our social engagement system turns off and our social disengagement system turns on. What's that? He says we take off our I want to connect hat and we put on I want a battle hat or mind, and we lose the, quote, we lose the ability to appraise, evaluate, and judge the situation accurately and moderate our words and actions accordingly. And this happens regardless of our intelligence level. So basically, we all, when we get upset, turn into foolish idiots, with no exceptions. But
it's almost as severe as a personality change sometimes, I've observed. Yeah.
Because so here it is. You've seen somebody calm, and they get upset, and it's like an alien enters their body, and you're like, who is this creature? And then they get calm again, and the alien leaves, and the person's back to their nice, lovable self, and you're like, what the heck just happened? Well, that's the two parts of the brain in control of the person, and you're seeing it play out through the changes in their face, their body, and what they say and do, because this alien is going to interact in a very different way. It's called amygdala hijack. It hijacks our brain, our body, our logic, thoughts, our relationship, and it's a destruction brain. Seek, kill, destroy. You're about to be eaten by a bear. You're about to be mugged. You just attack unrelentingly. You don't think what you're going to do because survival at the moment is all that matters. The problem is it's got a hypersensitive trigger. Better safe than sorry, because you don't get a second chance if you guess wrong. So 99.9% of the time, it does what? It overreacts. So that's why we react the same way to somebody taking the parking spot we were waiting for, to somebody who just, to a bear that's about to eat us. The survival brain hijacks our brain, our body, and our interaction. We go for the throat, so to speak, seek, kill, destroy. And if I survive it, I'll worry about it later if it's the right thing to do or wrong. And if I don't, I only get a second chance, so better be safe than sorry. And
well, we'll need to go in more on the survival brain, because that's fascinating, and how it maybe control the thing on the other side of a commercial break. Phil and I will return shortly, so don't you folks go away. You're listening to The Mission Evolution, coming to you on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
Patty Conklin grew up in Brooktondale, New York, with a unique ability. Unlike others, she could see how the vibration of words and emotions affected the physical body. She discovered how to release stored emotion and facilitate healing. This began today's Conklin method of cellular cleansing. The private practice grew with tremendous results, as did her reputation. More and more people sought her out, bringing her into the home for healing. She soon realized she could even teach this to others, and they could shift perception and thus prevent illness from occurring. Patty Conklin quickly became a frequent keynote speaker, and she developed a curriculum for teaching the Conklin method of cellular cleansing. For more information, visit pattyconklin.com, PATTICONKLIN, pattyconklin.com, or call 404 404-0086. That's 404-474-0086.
Mission Evolution is dedicated to the well-being of the planet and animals, as well as the evolution of humankind. One major factor threatening all three is increasing toxicity. Heavy metals and other environmental toxins are poisoning our bodies, deteriorating our brains, blocking our spiritual connection, and shortening our lives. Yet these poisons are extremely difficult to remove. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka, and I recently became aware of a product created from the marriage of nature and nanotechnology called Vitality. It's formulated from zoolite, whose crystalline structure binds toxins, gently carrying them out of the body. The light is only as clear as the window through which it shines. Clear your body, shine your light into the world. Visit vitalityhappens.com for a 20% discount. Enter code PATHHOME.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
Hello again. This is Mission Evolution, missionevolution.org, dedicated to unification and evolution of consciousness. To our faithful and thoughtful audience, we really value your opinion and would love to hear from you. What do you think about the effectiveness of talk therapies? Email me at info@missionevolution.org and give me your thoughts or questions so we can all share them on the next show. This in from a member of our audience regarding the episode entitled From Loss Through Recovery to Evolution. TL states, I had no idea how pervasive and damaging unprocessed grief can be. You and your guest, Janine, helped me to understand my lifelong depression is rooted in past trauma and grief. I now have hope and direction to work through it. Thank you both from the bottom of my heart. TL, thank you so much for sharing your experience. I know many of us will be empowered by learning to process grief. On behalf of all of us at Mission Evolution, it's our honor to bring this and other life-changing information to our audience. With us this hour discussing conflict resolution is Phil DeLuca. His website, letstalkmorelove.com. Phil, on that note, we were talking about how it's not always a good idea to express when we're angry because we're going to express in a damaging way. How then do we work with those negative feelings without getting backlogged?
Okay, well, I devised a 5-step program to do just that, short-circuit it and get people back on a positive track. First, be aware of what's the changes going on inside of you. Like, let me ask you, what's one of the signs that indicates you're getting upset? Is your heart pumping harder? Is your stomach twitching? Are your palms getting sweaty? What is it for you? If you can think on that real quickly.
Well, I have an interesting, of course, due to my history, I have an interesting response to getting angry. First thing I do is I take a deep breath and I stop everything.
Okay.
So all those automatic responses stop. And then I just sit until I can feel myself come back into myself before responding.
That's actually excellent. So what indicates to you that you're getting upset is and you need to put in a pause switch, which is my step 2, actually. Is your heart pumping harder? What's telling you need to pause it? Physiologically.
Yeah, I don't know that. Maybe I start to shut down.
Okay.
If I start to get angry, I just automatically shut down. So I probably have a little bit of aversion to going into anger.
And that'll it. So what, arguments start two ways. We go into an argument and provoke one. We get upset and we provoke an argument, unknown, unaware, non-intentional, it doesn't matter. If we knock the dominoes down, we're responsible. Or they go into argument and into their survival brain, and they try to provoke an argument, and that's a tough one to fix. Though I do come up with a solution. In that case, it seems like no matter what we do, they won't let it drop. If we talk about it, they get into an argument, and if they twist everything around, and if we don't, they won't let it drop. They keep escalating more and more. So my 5-step program says this is how you handle it. 1, be aware of when you are in a receptive place, front brain, in a non-receptive place to effectively communicate. And if you're in your survival brain, especially if it's hijacked and in control of you, that's a very destructive place to be. Or the other party is there. You can tell by a look, tone, the way they're twisting your words around. Continuing to express yourself and talk it through at that point is very counterproductive, because it's just a matter of time till they pull you in and your survival brain hijacks you, and now the two of you are going at it thick and intensely. And then, of course, you've got the recovery time. When those negative interactions are so destructive, things get said that you never forget. And I have identified a place called the dead zone, where there's no love left, and you don't want to get there, because then it's like, even if you fix it, why bother? I have nothing left for you. So that's the goal, as you know, in relationships. It's love. It's the most valuable thing out there. But it's treated so, whimsically.
Well, let's talk about love a little bit. It's like, to me, if I can remain open-hearted in the middle of conflict, it tends to resolve itself much quicker than if I shut down my heart. However, if I'm with somebody that's being very, 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 very inflammatory, and they're, like you said, hell-bent to leather to create an argument so that they can vent, that starts to damage the heart. So where do we find that in-between place where we can remember who that person was and not be damaged by what's presenting?
Okay, so we'll get to that. So first step is, just like you did, you identify when you're going into your fight or flight response. My stomach gets tight or not per certain way. People tell me I can feel my heart pumping in my chest, my blood pressure rising, my brain's turning to mush. I've heard that too many times. Now you need a pause switch. Exactly what you did. Step 2, get away from the other party. Most people initially can't be around the other party and maintain self-control at the beginning. Ideally, you want to be around the other party. Things get tense, and you can stay in front brain control, where you could talk it through in a constructive way. Most people, when they're caught up in argument, can't do that because their brain has wired around that. We now know from neuroplasticity that the brain is a muscle. And over time, one of the byproducts of expressing yourself is front brain neurons actually shrink up and back brain neurons actually grow, and the brain becomes lopsided, and you lose self-control, self-awareness, and you're just in a defensive mode. You have these constant negative thoughts going on and on. You have these hypersensitive triggers, and it's a really bad place. So you can retrain your brain, because the brain is a muscle, and when you use it, it grows, and when we don't use it, it shrinks. You can retrain front brain to get self-mastery back. And this is what we're doing. Step 1, identify when you're in this place or your partner. 2, put a pause switch in, get away. I want them out of the room. Put a door between you two. Go to another floor. Go out. Go for a walk in the garage. You need to let this brain know, throttle down. It's not in a war state. We're not about to be eaten by a raptor. Calm down. All they did was put the dishes in the dishwasher in the wrong direction. And then stage 3, now how are you going to detox this? You mentioned where you take deep breaths. That's really good. Controlled breathing. Music calms you down. Humor. Making a gratitude journal. What is it about them that you like or love? Well, when I was sick, they took really good care of me. They're a really good parent. Whatever it is, put that down. It forces the blood back to your front of your brain. At the same time, if you can, do something physical. That's why this is a fight or flight. That's why your body is getting anxious. The muscles are tense and you're moving your feet. The body is made for movement. if you don't move, it's not fight, flight, or sit and ferment. We're basically cooking our insides because these toxic chemicals, cortisol, adrenaline, noradrenaline, are just constantly recycling in the body. That's why chronic stress causes so many problems. So you want to get this out of your body. So here's a challenge. Go out to your car. Next time you're in a car, put your foot on the brake and all the way on the accelerator after you turn on the car. See what happens and leave them there. You're going to blow the car out. That's what we do when we sit and ferment. So you got to detox those chemicals floating around in your head and in your body. You're not entitled to those thoughts. That's what people will say. Well, I'm entitled to them. Okay, well then don't complain when you have health problems. You can't sleep. You're getting these sudden rashes. You're getting this tumor growth in your body that wasn't supposed to be there. Remember, chronic stress increases cancer risk 3,000%. That's incredible.
Well, it sounds like, the Incredible Hulk that results from when you get angry. Okay. But what sounds like you're describing to me also is PTSD. Yes,
that's right. What happens is that back brain never shuts off. So you have this constant what's called low-level inflammation where those thoughts keep circulating around. Now, we talked about neuroplasticity where we shape our brain with our thoughts. There's a sister science to that called epigenetics. Epigenetics says that we can turn on or off up to 28 genes. What does that mean? That means we adapt to our environment. That's why when it gets colder, or chilly in the middle of the summer, we're cold, and in the middle of winter, it feels warm, the same temperature, because the body hasn't adapted yet. Some of these genes are pro-inflammatory and some are anti. Some release cortisol, some release endorphins, which, by the way, decrease inflammation. It's like water on fire. So what happens is, now how does the cells know which ones to turn on or off? How does your kidney know you're on the beach relaxing and not in the middle of a stressful work environment? Well, it doesn't, because it doesn't have eyes. So every cell in our body we now know is listening to the thoughts in our brain, which we are shaping with our thoughts. We're shaping our brain with our thoughts, so our cells are listening to our brain, which means if we're sitting on a beach, but we're churned up with stress over arguing or problems at work, the body doesn't know that, so it's keeping turned on these stress hormones, these pro-inflammatory. That's why you could be on a beach and say, man, that was a wasted vacation. I was more tired now than when I started, because the body doesn't know you're there. Your brain trumps all. So you've got to detox. You've got to turn off these fight or flight responses. They have the front brain. The back brain is called fight flight, releases a lot of oxidative stress on the body, made for an acute crisis. Front brain is a turn-off switch. Rest, digest, and regenerate. We're supposed to regenerate the damage.
Well, I would like to get into how we do that. What are the techniques on the other side of the upcoming commercial break? Phil and I will return shortly, so you guys stay right there. This is the Mission Evolution. We're coming to you on the X Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
Audience. If you have seen a UFO, had a close encounter, seen a ghost, Bigfoot, lake monster, or a story that you would like to share or have investigated, contact me, Rob McConnell, by sending me your email to xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, or you can call toll-free 1-800-610-7035, extension 143, and on Skype, X Zone Radio TV. For more information on the X Zone Radio TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, visit www.xzoneradiotv.com or www.xzonetvchannel.com or simultv.com and xzbn.net. Until next we meet here in the X Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, always remember, X Zone Nation, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart in the light.
Join Patty Conklin and Healing Within Radio each week. More than entertainment, Healing Within offers educational, useful tools for everyday life. Listen for help overcoming fear, anxiety, and depression. Patty knows about eliminating cancer, MS, dementia, Parkinson's, and a host of illnesses that we face every day. Life can be good. Life is good. All you need are simple tools to start changing your life. Start right now by visiting pattyconklin.com, PATTICONKLIN. No matter where you are in the world, you can work with Patty through Skype, phone, or in person, visiting one of her retreats in Georgia. Visit pattyconklin.com today or call our offices at 404-474-0086. That's pattyconklin.com or call 404-474-0086.
Coming soon to the X Zone Broadcast Network is A Different Perspective with me, Kevin Randall, as your host. We'll be taking a close look at what is happening in the world of UFOs today with side trips into the paranormal. Guests will range from those who are household names to those who have a different perspective on a variety of topics. No topic will be taboo, but there will be tough questions asked as we all search for the truth about UFOs, the paranormal, and those things that excite us. Sometimes we'll agree with a guest and sometimes we won't, but we'll try to keep the program topical. For those of you who would like to read, be sure to visit www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com and remember to listen to the other fine programs on the X Zone Broadcast Network at www.xzbn.net.
Welcome back. This is Mission Evolution. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka. Did you know our entire leading edge information-packed episode collection is available to listen or download with our compliments? Visit our archives at www.missionevolution.org for our ever-growing selection of guests and topics. Our guest this hour is Philip DeLuca. We're speaking about new approach to communication. His website, lesstalkmorelove.com. Phil, as we were speaking, it sounds like these tapes, these thoughts that we feel so entitled to, that we have running in our head, are creating a hologram that the rest of our body buys into versus what our actual circumstances are.
Bingo. Yes.
Okay.
What?
So that being the case,
Yes.
I mean, some people seem more capable of short-stopping that process than others. And I think people that have suffered PTSD, of course, what you were saying about epigenetics, they tend to grow the backside of their brain
Yes.
versus the front.
Yes.
So how do we turn that around?
Well, that's our step 3. Step 1 is be aware of what's going on. Put a pause switch in. Step 2, before you say or do something negative. Step 3, now how are you going to drain off those chemicals? There's a whole list of stuff. Humor is incredible. You ever been upset and then you laughed heartily and like the air is clean? Endorphins are like they're like water on inflammation in our body, on the stress chemicals. So anything that gets you to relax. What kind of calming music? Let me ask you this. What kind of things calm you down? Looking at a beautiful scene, going for a walk, going outside. There's a lot of science behind that. Humor, calming music, thoughts of gratitude, interacting with other people. What relaxation, breathing, getting engrossed in an activity that requires front brain. One of the things they found was that reading a book, not an ebook, but an actual book, was incredibly powerful to get the front brain to reactivate. Why? Because in order to process the information, you have to have blood flow to the front of the brain. And they found novels was the most effective way to do that. So let me ask you, what calms you down when you're upset? We use that as
All,
an example.
all the above. Music. I live clear off grid up in the country, so I'm exposed to nature, quiet, sweet thoughts. It seems like all the traditions are based on finding the
Yes,
endorphins and soothing things out again, aren't they?
yes, yes. And so what happened there is we reactivated our front brain. Remember, this is a social engagement brain. It accurately evaluates the situation, because what happens when our back brain kicks in, one, we make false assumptions. Two, we then base conclusions on false assumptions, formulate a solution, and then we act on that, on something that was a total fabrication or a partial. How many times, let me ask you this question, and your listeners will relate to this. How many times have you, when you were upset, was convinced the way you saw it and evaluated the information was accurate, and then when you calmed down, you were like, oh man, I missed a lot of stuff here. I was way off base.
I find more and more that's the case with all of us. Things are moving quicker. We're confronted with more things more quickly. And I
Yeah.
just always have to assume I don't understand what I think I understand, and there's more to the picture. I think it's just such a constant at this point.
But you can only do that if your front brain's in control. If you're still upset and churning with all of these resentments and negative thoughts, you're not going to think that. You're going to think, or the person's going to think, I'm entitled to this. I'm right about this. We become convinced that what we're seeing is real when actually it's just a partial truth. Here's another thing. How many times has somebody misinterpreted your motives or the events and accused you of stuff, especially in your motives, that wasn't true? How did you feel when that happened? Pretty bad, I'm sure. Even offended. That's what we all do. We always read negative intent. You did this on purpose because you're a bad person when we are upset. But if we don't like it when it's done to us, what does that say about us doing it to others?
I've got a little switch of direction here, but I'd kind of like to address it. We've been talking about a lot about the brain and the body. Um, Where does the heart fit in here? I mean, is the heart also
Yeah.
relayed through one part of the brain versus another, or is it totally different?
Well, now we know there's what's known as the brain has 86 billion neurons, the heart has 500 million, and the stomach has 750 million. And it's now known as they act as one. It's called the heart gut brain connection. And we now know, for instance, that our heart gives more signals to the brain than the other way around. Isn't that interesting? Our heart is the center of us, not our brain. And for instance, here's an interesting fact. Our heart gives off an EMF field, and it vibrates up to 4 feet around us based on our mood. It's agitated. If we're agitated, it's one, and if we're at peace, it's another. When we come around somebody who's within 4 feet, so when we're within 8 feet of somebody, the two fields cross. And if you've ever been calm and you got around somebody who was particularly toxic and you got apart from them and you said, man, they just ruined my whole peace and day, their EMF field disturbed yours and agitated yours. That's what you're connecting with. And real interesting, they found that only with mothers and their children, her EMF field can read the child's brain EMF field. Mother's intuition is actually a scientific fact now based on that field. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, the field is fascinating, and it's like this is why I was trying to bring up heart is by being able to stay attuned to that field. Doesn't that give us a better opportunity of A, reading what's in our environment, and B, can we pass our calm versus passing our angst?
Yeah, so let's talk about that. Step 4. Step 1 is be aware of what's going on. 2, put a pause switch. 3, detox those. 4, when you're calmer, get re-engaged and then communicate. A lot of times, like 80% of the time, people say, hey, there was nothing there. I was just upset over nothing. How many times has that happened to you? I know it happens to me a lot. And then step 5, what do you do when the other party is in a provocative place? How do you navigate through that where they seem to be itching for a fight? And so here's the scenario. You come home, you're having a good day, you open the door, and the other party they're in their survival crocodile brain. They're giving you a look, they're bringing up certain topics, they're not saying anything. And you're like, uh-oh, Houston, we got a problem. You know that they're going to want to talk about it, talk it through. There's that talk it through, the gift that never stops giving. And but we're only going to get into an argument because they're going to twist and distort everything around. That's because when we're in a conflict, this survival brain, it's a conflict-seeking brain. It's not a conflict resolution brain. That's the front brain. So staying in touch with that, always staying in touch with, is conflict, destruction. We're wiring our brain around that and causing it to get very lopsided because the brain is a muscle. So we're actually doing push-ups and squat thrusts with the back of our brain, and our front brain is getting the neurons actually atrophy. They shrink up and the synapse connections evaporate. So we're hardwiring our brain. I call it survival brain hijack lock, where it stays on all the time. And that's what PTS does. It wires the brain for a constant staying on position, and then we're reacting to something our partner's doing based on what happened to happened to us many years ago. The triggers set it off. So step 4 now is communicate when you're calmer. How can you tell when you're calmer? Let me ask you that. You got upset and you detoxed it. You went out in nature, worked in your garden, which, by the way, is a very good way to do it. Lowers 30% of stress chemicals, the science says. So when you want to, how do you know it's a good time to talk? I know because I get relaxed. I'm starting to laugh or get easier in my thoughts. What about with you?
Probably pretty much the same. I always use humor.
Yeah, people say I'm starting to relax. I can think again. That's a common one. Okay, that's the time to communicate. I call the express yourself communication model the regurgitation communication. Communication needs to be very intentional. What are you trying to accomplish? You want to connect. You want to resolve.
So communicating rather than dumping, right?
Yes. It has to be, Aristotle said anybody can become angry. That's easy. But to be angry at the right place, at the right time, with the right person, to the right degree, in the right way, that's not so easy. That's great. There it is. This is intentional. Is this going to be a good time to talk about it? No, we're in public. Is this a good way to talk about it? Is this the right person? Is this the right level? Is this the right purpose? Is this going to accomplish resolution or just venting and destruction? So there's a lot to this. The express yourself approach is 60 years dated. It's so two-dimensional. We need a 21st century model based on the science that's out there that says, wait a minute, this whole thing is a mess. And the latest science says if you want to communicate effectively, you need to stop talking and when you're upset, as opposed to talk when you're upset or you are running from the problem. You see the difference? Radically different.
We're about ready to go into another break, but okay. My question is, when did this all go so wrong? It seems like it's counterproductive all the way around to take the events of the past, superimpose them on the present, and make a rerun out of the future. And everything we do has purpose. How did this get so twisted? So I'd really like to go into that on the other side of this commercial break. You game?
Yes. Oh, yes. We'll do it. And I'll show you what to do when the other party is looking to provoke an argument and how to get around that.
Perfect. We do need to take a commercial break now, though. So Phil and I will be back shortly to continue our discussion. Don't go away. This is the Mission Evolution on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
If you are looking for a safe, zero-calorie natural option to the harmful artificial sweeteners on the market today, Just Like Sugar is what you're looking for. Just Like Sugar is a wonderful natural alternative for those health-conscious people who choose a calorie-restricted diet with a great, pure, sweet flavor that tastes just like sugar. Just Like Sugar is a great natural option for people suffering from diabetes and may be useful in restricted diet programs where standard sugars are not allowed and does not cause a laxative effect of some other sweeteners. Just Like Sugar comprises a perfect blend of chicory root fiber, natural calcium, natural vitamin C, and Just Like Sugar's sweetness comes from the natural flavors from the peel of the orange. Just Like Sugar is a natural alternative to harmful artificial sweeteners and will change the way that you believe all natural sweetener products taste. Just Like Sugar is available at your local Whole Foods markets, Wild Oats markets, Henry's, Sun Harvest, and many other fine natural food stores in the U.S., Canada, and worldwide. They are here, and they've been here for thousands of years, making their presence known in the shadows. They might be seen by a lonely motorist on a deserted road late at night, or by a frightened and confused husband in the bedroom he is sharing with his wife. But who are they? What do they want? Why are they here? Perhaps most concerning, has the government been aware of their presence all along? The new book by Ellie Marzulli, UFO Disclosure, the 70-year cover-up exposed, delves into the world of UFOs. Can full disclosure be soon? Order now and receive a free hour and 37-minute DVD on the UFO phenomenon. UFOs are real. Get both the book and the DVD, a $40 value, for only $19.99. To order your book and DVD today, go to lamarzulli.net. That's LAMARZULLI.net.
You have heard of the X Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X Zone, sci-fi, and horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world, interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
Memorable dynamic presentations are a not-so-secret weapon in the business world. Do you have a powerful message that must be shared, but you haven't found a way to deliver that message? Do you want to be known as a top public speaker who gets amazing results? Are you ready to create and deliver your powerful message? Thomas Hides can help you create and deliver your speech to get the results you desire. Visit iconquality.com.
Did you expect your business to flourish, but instead it plateaued or didn't get off the ground yet? Would you like to achieve massive goals and discover new sources of income within your business? When you're ready to experience that type of success with fast results, Cindy Hendricks is the business coach for you. Her work with entrepreneurs and business owners has been life-changing. To get you and your business where you want to be, go to imaginemoresuccess.com.
Has the fear of public speaking stalled your business or personal life? What would you give to develop and maintain supreme confidence? Have an invaluable private program to always perform at your best. Imagine how you would feel. You can have all that and so much more today with Thomas Hides' life-changing course called Number One Fear Unleashed. Visit numberonefear.com and be liberated from your fear of public speaking.
Welcome back. This is Mission Evolution, bringing together gifted people of service to the world. I love to hear from our audience. Your thoughts are very important to me. To suggest a topic or a guest that you think would be of interest, email us at info@missionevolution.org. This hour, we're sharing thoughts with Philip DeLuca. His website, gobeyondtalktherapy.com. We were just talking about, I like to look to nature and then see where we got off course. And if you watch things get angry in nature, anger is a natural expression that's needed. Mother bear, to protect her cubs, she gets angry and look out. But once the threat's done, she just goes back to normal. Deers get frightened and they run, but then they go over the hill and they start grazing again. Humans, on the other hand, tend to stay in that agitated state and be irrational, sometimes, like we were discussing, full time. Where did we go wrong? Why did that happen? How can we turn it around?
Well, part of this is in the 60s, they came out with you're entitled to these thoughts. Stay in touch with your anger. And this thing has evolved to where now our brains are wired for hypersensitivity. And if you look at the health of Americans, it's a mess. 2/3 have autoimmune, diabetes, obesity, all of those things. And stress, inflammation is a source of all disease. So we're keeping the more we hold on to stuff, the more we are keeping our body ill. It's like taking poison to punish the other party. Some people will vent. Men tend to vent and get over it. And women tend not to vent, but they'll simmer for a while. That's not always the case, but my experience has been the majority of the case. And I talk to people, I say, how long do you hold on to this? And a lot of them will say, well, I never let it go. And it's like, so I say, what you're doing is you're taking a swig of poison every day, cyanide, in order to punish the other party. So take that there. People need to come to the belief that it's not right to hold on to this. It's killing my peace, my health, our love. It's rewiring my brain. The satisfaction you're getting to holding on to resentments and not letting these go, not forgiving, is just, it's enormous. It's permeating. We now know every part of your body, every part of your system, your existence, even your spirituality. So that whole express yourself approach, I call it the gift that keeps on giving. This thing has its finger in everything. It's not based on science. There was never any science to support it. It just got absorbed into the culture and everybody just assumed it was settled science, and they just took off with it. Books come out.
Well, you spoke of epigenetics and how, so also I know there's scientific evidence now that these tendencies are actually passed down through genetics. How much of our distorted situation that we're looking at versus how the animals manage this is because it's been passed down? And can we change that? If so, how?
Yes, we can change it. Very simple. We can rewire our brain. If we rewire our brain, we rewire the gene expression that's going on in our body. So that's why it's very important that you not skip over step 3. A lot of people will skip over step 3. They'll get upset, they'll identify it, they'll get away before they vomit all over the other party or shoot them a look, and then they'll ferment. And then when they re-engage, maybe 2 or 3 days later or hours, they're even more ramped up. They've skipped over the detox section. You have to let this stuff go. You're not entitled to it. And a lot of times, remember, a lot of your processing of this information is not accurate a lot of times. So you're actually holding on to something that's, in a lot of cases, a figment of your imagination, especially their intent, because we always read negative intent when we're upset into the other party. So you're actually holding on to stuff and killing yourself over fantasy in a lot of cases, over stuff that's not accurately being understood in your head. But let's talk about, go ahead.
I'm in total agreement with you that the only place that we can initiate change or maintain change is internally. It's an inside job. However, when you are in a relationship and you've hit the dead zone, and no matter what you do or how you process yours, the other person is still hanging on, still trying to incite the riot, still turning into the Incredible Hulk on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Is there a time when it's just when to say when that this isn't going to work?
Well, that's a personal call. One of the things I've noticed in the change over the last 40 years is the advice people are getting now from their friends and family is extremely poor. Everybody seems to be in this, hey, you're not happy, get out. And so they give him this advice. Well, there's a lot more to this. There's what about the kids? What about if you still love them? What about the financial situation? What about if you're getting older? Who's going to take care of you when you get older? What about a commitment you made? There's a whole bunch of stuff out there, and people are getting some really, really bad advice from friends and family. It's changed so much. It's a really tough thing to see because they're going to them for guidance. It's well-intentioned, but it really just feeds the whole process.
Right. Well, I'm again with you that you have to be able to go in and do your own work and resolve your own issues so that you can be present to work with the other person. But there are times when no matter how much you work with that, how self-aware you are, that the other person just will not participate in the process.
No doubt about it.
They may be damaged. They may be mentally ill. The brain chemistry may be too far off. Does this always work, or do you seek times when it's just time to say when to say when?
Well, we talked about the dead zone. That's a place where there's no love or caring left. So when people get there, they and even before that, they have to frequently have to make a decision. Is it worth staying in this? Now, a lot of times people seem to be in the dead zone, but they're not. There's still embers there, and if it's approached correctly, we'll just put a little kindling on, and we'll blow on it very gently. You can have it come roaring back, but a lot of times you have to actually separate in order to get perspective, and even I'm seeing a lot of people where they had to separate to get the other party's attention. Now the other party is working at controlling their temper. They've given up the affair. They've gotten off of pornography, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of times it's actually a good maneuver, and it's to get to separate, and it's destructive to stay in it further. And that's a place where you probably should seek, if you can't make that decision on your own, expert help. But that can be a very constructive way to fix it. And other times you just go on your separate ways because it's better than living in a highly toxic situation. That's, there's no love left. It's killing your health. The kids are in chaos because of it. It has its place.
So, Phil, have there been any independent studies done on your method?
No, but there is a lot of science on neuroplasticity, epigenetics, the change in the blood flow in the brain, and all I did was take that information and clinically apply it, integrate it, and took a holistic approach because the foods we eat, I don't know about you, but when I don't get sleep for a few days, I'm a bear to be around. I don't even like being around myself. So sleep affects us, food affects us, stress affects our interaction and how we're going to communicate with people. There's a lot of things, even riding a car, right? Traffic nowadays, right? Road rage is off the chart. How many people I was just talking to a couple a while ago where they said, we get along great, but every time we get in the car, that's all she wrote because of all the road rage going on. People riding his tail. I'm controlling him. He's mad. He's cutting people off. And he said, if we can't ride in a car together, we get along great. Always.
I've heard it said that the heart is colorblind. How do you see your method changing the face of interplanetary relationships globally? Interpersonal relationships globally. We'll deal with the aliens on another show. So,
this method is so effective that I have people coming in at the point of divorce with entrenched conflict and doing an immediate turnaround. And if you ever been in a think about this, if you ever been in a situation or seen a situation where a couple is breaking up, the pain that's involved, the sense of despair, hopelessness, confusion. I mean, it's written all over their face. Every part of their aspect reflects that. The effect on the kids, lifelong in many times. That is a horrendous situation with ramifications throughout society. So if you can throttle back argument and get them to a place where there's hope, they're constructively dealing with issues, for me, that is the best gift that I can give to the world at this point. And it's really easy thing to fix. because conventional approaches don't work, and traditional marriage counseling, couples counseling doesn't work because they're using traditional approaches. It's like they're using an antiviral agent for a bacteria. All you got to do is switch directions, and the science tells us how to do it.
Well, unfortunately, Phil, we're out of time. I could go on with you and on. So thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. This was great.
Our guest this hour has been Philip DeLuca, a licensed clinical social worker. Phil has developed a new approach to communication and conflict resolution. Find out more about Phil, his innovative approaches, and what he has to offer at his website, gobeyondtalktherapy.com. If you want to hear this episode or any of our others again at your leisure, our entire information-packed episode collection is available for listen or download free of charge. Visit our archives at www.missionevolution.org for our ever-growing selection of guests and topics. This has been Mission Evolution with Gwilda Wiyaka on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. Join us next time as the mission continues, bringing information, resources, and support to our evolving world.